I saw it on a big fucking screen. Okay,
Yeah, we saw it on one of the
went to
biggest
this
screens in the
really
US.
nice theater. This really
In the
nice
United
theater. I was
States.
enjoying my time. I'm kind of just bringing in that bias of how I felt in the moment. So like I'm not. It's definitely that's what's lifting the movie. I'm
We saw it
hearing
on
you
a
guys.
bigger
It makes
screen.
sense.
Welcome back to Cinema Corner. I'm Blake, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Alex and Josh.
And today we're talking about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. This movie comes in at 2 hours and 50 minutes long. It had like a 400 mil budget, allegedly. I don't know if that's actually true or not. And then so far, as of yesterday, technically for us, this has raked in 213.2 mil so far. So not too shabby, but
That's a
still
pretty
under
big opening weekend.
budget.
Wow.
What do we think?
I mean, that's just crazy to hear that it made half of its thing back in its opening weekend. That's insane to me. Yeah, obviously this is Final Reckoning, allegedly the last Mission Impossible movie. I did feel the end of it was a little strange for this to be the last one of a 8, right? This is the 8th one technically. Yeah. The ending did feel a little open-ended that if they wanted to, they could continue somewhere, which I'm sure was kind of part of the plan, I would imagine. But I just felt for, the 8th one, it didn't kind of neatly wrap up everything. I felt it definitely kind of all of them coming together a little bit, kind of definitely made it very much open that if they wanted to do this again, they could do something again. But yeah, obviously, like you said, this one is, almost 3 hours long, which is kind of the theme of these most recent ones, as the last one was pretty similar in that. This one pretty much follows the same crew from that original one, with the addition of a couple people. I don't even know his name, either his character's name or the actor's name, but there was that one, I think he was a policeman from the beginning, who kind of, when broke out, what's her name, Paris, I think is just what she's referred to in Paris. This movie. He kind of just like joins the crew. I don't even know his name or really what his official job was.
Briggs, right?
Sure.
No, that's the other guy. That's the guy that turned out to be the son of or what his name is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
No clue. But he joins cast.
Like the actor's name is Tarzan or something like that.
That sounds accurate. I feel like I did see an interview with somebody saying Tarzan. Dope name. But he joins the crew. That's really the only main addition of somebody new. Unfortunately, we did lose Luther in this movie relatively early-ish on, which was definitely, upsetting. He did have a little Prometheus kind of scene with Ethan before Ethan kind of had to go off and handle some stuff, and then we hear a voiceover of him towards the end, almost at the end of the movie. But we did lose Luther early on, which was upsetting. He is the only one to really die, as Benji did survive, him being shot towards the end of the movie. But all in all, I mean, this movie just kind of is a continuation of the first one, obviously. And you just got Ethan Hunt doing some wild Ethan Hunt things, trying to save the world. Obviously, the big thing in this one is the whole AI, the entity of it being. So it's kind of crazy that, we got to see Ultron again. It's been a while since we've seen Ultron. That was cool. But yeah, I mean, I thought this scene had a pretty interesting of, Ethan went on his own and then sent Benji to run the team and go on their own mission. And it kind of all connected at the end. Obviously, I feel like the big things to talk about with this movie, plot-wise and stuff, I mean, it's a Mission Impossible movie. Of course, the world is at stake here. The entity is going to take over everything. Ethan already has the key he needs, and they got to get, this mother chip thing that was created before the entity sank the boat at the beginning of the first one, which was a whole thing that actually connected, which is kind of, cool that we actually went back to the submarine, because the first one we kind of that was the opening scene of the part 1, right?
First one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we kind of just forget about it for that entire movie, and then it was finally
it ends with
it ends and it's like, yo, the key opens this, and it's like, oh, okay, so this one we actually go to the submarine, so it's like, okay, actually that meant something, which is nice that we actually went back to. But yeah, Ethan's got the key. He's got to go down there and get this thing that was, I don't know, made before the entity or something like that. The entity knew it was the only way to stop it, kind of thing.
Code, and that's why he sank it. Yeah.
Right, and then Luther was able to create something that would, quote unquote put the genie in the bottle, so they could upload it. And Ethan has his wild submarine scene, of course, where he's just doing Ethan Hunt things. Tom Cruise actually dove to the bottom of the ocean in real life to do this. Fun fact. I believe he actually found the megalodon while he was down there, but decided he didn't want to make a whole thing out of it, so he kind of just peacefully let it go. So just a little side note I heard. I had sources who were part of the cast, but he has that, and then, they're obviously the other big, scene, because really Mission Impossible movies are, what is the crazy scene that Tom Cruise does that's just ridiculous? You had that scene of him having to hold his breath and do everything, and then you had the whole plane scene at the end where he was actually hanging off a plane, and he does the skydiving where he does in the end, where he has to actually like link the two things together. He obviously did that and did quite a few jumps, doing that with a camera rig set up to him. But I feel like those are the real two main things. I mean, I don't really know what else. Nobody comes to a Mission Impossible for the plot. Nobody's watching this movie for our plot review. Those are the two big stunts. That's what you want to know.
Yeah, that's essentially it. I mean, what can I say? Like, that's all that's in the almost 3-hour movie. That sounds a little tough. There is some like things sprinkled in here and there, but honestly, not as much as I would want. I feel like the best movie to have done that, at least in the recent collaborations with Tom Cruise and the director, I think it's Christopher McQuarrie.
Yeah, McQuarrie,
I think his the best was for sure Fallout. Fallout was just like the perfect balance of this insane spectacle and then obviously in a very intriguing story. This one, a lot of spectacle, arguably some of the highest in the actual franchise, with obviously the plane sequence at the very end especially. But in terms of the story, you lose Luther pretty much within the first 15 minutes of the movie, I want to say. We did get a good Tom Cruise chase, where he's running again, and then he dies, and then it kind of mellows out. Unsurprisingly, it doesn't really keep that kind of like pace. It just kind of mellows out. He gets captured. It seems like there's a lot of drag in that like middle section up until you get to like the point where he has to dive into the submarine, and then it just picks right back up again, and it's pretty much a nonstop ride until the very end of the movie. I'd say like the hour mark to like the hour 40, hour 30-ish is kind of like a rough portion where it kind of drags a bit, where I feel like you could have easily cut that down to like, I don't know, spitballing here, 15 minutes, maybe even less, get to the point to where he needs to go to the submarine. And this could have been what, 2 hour and 30-minute movie, 2 hour 20-minute movie. It would have been perfectly fine for me. But that's my biggest complaint, is that portion of the film, honestly.
You know why it dragged? Because Gabriel sucks ass. Okay, he's definitely bottom 2 villain. Bottom 2.
Yeah,
easily. Yeah. And so
absolutely.
That was his moment, was in those early hours there, and it was weak as shit. And then you make Luther go out like that. I hated that. Way too early. I mean, you're gonna give us a 2 hour 50 Mission Impossible movie. Okay, I was expecting some goddamn fan service. Give me longer bit of Luther. All right, there's no reason to kill him that fast. I get they're trying to set up the kind of cool just ending with him talking, after it's over. You still could have done that. But dude, like, I mean, swear to God, like, did he have like 10 minutes of screen time in a almost 3 hour movie? It's stupid. That was dumb. I did not like that. I definitely was going into this film expecting, because of it being, an AI, of them not being able to use communications, that they were going to really have to rely of it kind of being almost that OG trio of me getting more of Benji, Luther, and Ethan Hunt. Instead, I got way too much of Grace. Paris had some scenes that I kind of liked, but other times, I was like, I'm getting too much of you too. And then I didn't really care for the random switching of sides of the cop that we cannot name. He kind of just like, oh yeah, man, I'll join you guys. Right there at the end, in that hallway. I'll join. Okay. You know, I'm just gonna leave my guy that, you know, we were clearly obviously super close in the previous film, but I'm just gonna go now. Did not care for that. As well as just kind of too much of side characters, like just too much with the president and the council members talking with each other. Just too much of all those. You're gonna give me a 3-hour movie that should have just been cut way more, or it should have been way more of fan service of the OG trio. I mean, that's what you get out of these action movies. In the ending, it's either fan service or they go all over the top something cool. We didn't really get that over the top cool. Okay, so then where's my fan service? So I think those were kind of my big digs of that, is just too much emphasis and screen time of other characters that have only literally been introduced in the last movie. Not even bring it back. I mean, maybe if you're bringing back some other characters that are not killed off, I know I would love to see Jeremy Renner's character. Obviously, I think the biggest reason why is one, COVID, and also he got in an accident during the filming of both of these. So I'm quite sure, plus Hawkeye too, the show. Guarantee that's the reason why we never see him again. As well as the actress
Jane.
that was, is that her name? In Rogue Nation?
Ghost Protocol?
Or Ghost Protocol. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have brought her back.
She's still alive.
Yeah, she's still alive.
Yeah, she was with Benji and Ethan and Brandt.
Also,
Like,
Vanessa Kirby's character could have brought back at some point from the last one.
Yeah, let's talk about that. It just didn't happen. She was just gone.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Grace sucks. Why do we need her?
100%.
I don't get why we need her. Also, I don't get in the, I don't know, someone opening-ish scene where Grace and him get kidnapped. We have one of the most awkward, awful scenes in Mission Impossible. It felt like Mission Impossible 2 of the awfulness that was the random Ethan starts fighting these guys, and Grace is just standing there closing her eyes like a damsel in distress as if she isn't some badass who's done some fighting and stuff. And then Ethan just apparently murders these two guys that we don't see anything of, and we get the cheesy off-screen things being thrown around. And then Tom Cruise coming into screen and being like, those guys were going to hurt you, coming out of screen, coming back in. We really need to go out of screen, back in. You wouldn't think I would actually let them hurt you. I mean, they were going to kill you. And out, we really need... Awful. That scene was so bad. That scene alone hurt everything about this movie to set it up. Grace sucks. Rebecca Ferguson should have never been killed off and should have stayed a focal point of this franchise, as she's such a great character and actress.
Yeah.
But that scene was just arguably bottom tier, just Mission Impossible in the franchise. What do we do?
You want to know what sucks about that? Is that it, like, before it even began, before it just like flashed to that and they're like chained up, I was getting like Rogue Nation vibes where it's like Ilsa's, scene where she's introduced and he's like obviously tied to the pole and he has to like climb out of the pole.
Get out. Yeah, that was
sick. They just did that. Yeah, that just like shits on this by comparison. I was like expecting something along those lines and it just got none of that. So yeah, that was tough. I could have done without that 100%. Did not need it. Did not care for it whatsoever. It was done so badly. I don't know why. I mean, just even thinking about it, I'm like, wait a minute. This sounds very familiar to Rogue Nation's, like, it basically is introduction to Ilsa. And you have this as a comparison. It's like, yikes. Big yikes.
So dumb. It was so stupid.
Yeah, there's just certain scenes where I could have just either done without them entirely or just could have cut them down. I feel like the whole president thing and like the council, I kind of like it because you kind of get that
I believe they're the Senate
like
guys.
The president.
I don't know if we should be calling council when we're talking about like
at that moment they're
thing,
the council.
You know what I mean?
They're the council.
I believe they're the Senate.
It was like she was the queen at
Congress
that moment.
members.
Okay. She had the choice to nuke the world.
Pretty much.
Not the Senate.
I liked
she was
that
upper
like tension
there, bro.
Right, yeah. I liked that attention there. Although I feel like I could have done like way less time with it. I feel like
I like it too.
You just could have, like I liked that dilemma of like having to be like, well, shit, like everyone's fucking bombs are like pretty much being taken over by an entity. Ours are like on the brink of them being taken over. It's either we trust Ethan and let it happen, or it's like we just say fuck it, we're gonna nuke our own people too, because at some point they were like, hey, we should probably like nuke a city in our country just to like not make it look as bad. And we're like, oh, okay, well that's a little bit interesting. But then it's like you keep cutting back to it. It's like, okay, well, it's not really like pushing forward enough for me. So I feel like you could have easily cut that down, maybe get like I don't know, 10 less minutes there. Would have been perfectly fine. Just by doing these little cuts here and there, just could have shaved it down significantly. Could have gotten rid of that scene that we were just talking about with Ethan being chained up and Grace. And I don't know. I feel like just having Luther in the film longer, maybe, just not having him be captured in the first 10 minutes of the movie. Like I would not have minded, because the movie is titled The Final Reckoning, to have one of the main characters die. I didn't think Ethan would die. So I was like, okay, it's either Benji or Luther. And I don't mind if either or would die, but I didn't want them to die the way that they did. Luther, in this case, in the first 10 minutes. I feel like we could have at least had, I don't know, an hour and a half-ish with him. There still would have been another whole other hour left. Perfectly fine with that, in the climax of the movie. Give Gabriel something, anything would have been better in that like hour and a half mark instead of the first 10 minutes of the movie. I feel like that was a bold choice. Did not pay off, in my opinion. I mean, I feel like I'm shitting on it too much, but like at the end of the day, I kind of enjoyed like the movie overall. I don't know. It's kind of like that weird feeling of like, I have issues with it, but it's still not a terrible movie.
Hold up.
Like Tom Cruise just doesn't make like terrible movies.
Before we get into positives, I got to do one more negative. I just got to gripe with the director, Christopher McQuarrie, whatever, right? Swear to God, I don't think this guy's ever talked to a woman. He does not know what to do with woman characters. Every cringy scene in the series of Mission Impossible, the worst cringy scenes, besides MI2, just, we don't count that movie, okay? We don't count that movie, all right? And I swear to God, he had influence on that.
In 2000.
Every cringy scene is his responsibility. He's responsible for it because he just makes the woman characters so fucking weird and bad. And then I hate the interactions that he like forces between them and Ethan Hunt. The worst scenes that Ethan Hunt has is because of him. Like Grace. Why the fuck is a chick just magically in love with him? Love at first sight with Ethan Hunt. Even with Jane, it was like that. The only time that it was decent was because Rebecca Ferguson is an amazing actress and probably just told him, I'm not fucking doing that weird shit half the time. Like, it bothers me so bad. Like, Grace had so many scenes that just took you out of this movie. Like, them when he was in the decompressor or whatever, after, swimming back up, them kind of just being like laying on each other. It was just so weird. Like, it's obviously like he's trying to be like, oh man, we got to have Ethan Hunt kind of seem like he can get any woman he wants. But instead of doing it kind of the nice way, like 007, Jason Bourne, all these other films do it, we're going to make it where they're in love instead of attracted to him. It's weird. It just screams that this guy he does not know what he's doing. And I hate it because it takes you out of any movie that's good when it's Mission Impossible. So that's my final gripe.
And that's fair. And I feel like I agree. I'm one of those people where it's like, you should not have killed Ilsa. Like after watching this, you should not have killed her. But because you did, and now you have to make this the final reckoning. Fine, you did it, and in Mission, usually the deaths are permanent. As far as we know, no one has died and can come back. So that's not something that happens in this franchise. Fine. My issue is that Grace as a character by herself could have been really cool because of her skill set, but why are we forcing every single female character to be like a love interest-esque thing for Ethan? Like, he just had Ilsa. I mean, that made sense because obviously he didn't want to be with his I forgot her name from MI3, and she came back in Fallout 2.
Oh, his wife?
Yeah, his wife, because obviously she was from like
And guess who didn't do
everyday
Fallout?
world,
Guess who didn't
and
do
she's
Mission
not
Impossible 3? This fucking director.
Julia. Yes, Julia. The reason why that didn't work was because obviously she's like a normal person. She's not a spy, and he was with Ilsa because she's a spy and she lives that life with him. That makes sense. Okay, I'm fine with that. But then to try and introduce another one after the one you were just with died, the previous movie, it just doesn't work for me. You know, like it would have been a lot better if she would have been like a side character, kind of like Paris, not be a love interest, and just kind of be off to the side. Don't force this thing. That's the main thing. Pickpocketing and everything like that. It's cool. You know, she has her own like, I don't know, skill set. That makes sense for what the team needs. But why you gotta make her the love interest? That's the thing. Like, you could have done without that. Would have been 10 times better.
Totally agree. Okay, now we can go on the positives. I just had to say that. I had to get that out. Just,
I mean, unless Blake has any more negatives too.
Blake's in a positive mindset today.
No, I mean everything you guys have said has pretty much.
He already mentioned
that's
Grace.
The negatives. Yeah, I mean that's the negatives. Well, I'll be honest. Someone else is gonna have to go for the positives because besides the plane scene being cool, I don't know what you want me to say.
Oh, actually, no. I got one more negative. Sorry. One more negative. Too many flashbacks.
Yeah, I'll say it. This movie just not good. Let's be honest. We're all just talking about the negatives. It somehow has some redeeming quality because it's Tom Cruise that you somewhat are able to say you had fun. This movie's not a good movie by any means. It is lackluster for sure. The big cool scenes in this are whatever. We've seen him do the plane chasing scenes. It was essentially the helicopter scene at the end of, which one was that with Henry Cavill?
Fallout.
It was essentially the helicopter scene, just now we're doing with analog planes. The dive scene was pretty fun for a little bit, and then it went on for roughly 25 minutes, and I was like, I don't fucking care anymore. This is taking way too goddamn long. The plot stuff is whatever. There was way too much with the president and all that stuff going on. The side characters had way too much stuff, and they sucked. None of them are anything near Benji and Luther, what they used to be. Grace sucks. I mean, this movie was way too long. It was lackluster in what the big plot was. Gabriel, like you said, he's the worst Mission Impossible villain. I don't really have much positive. Who else is worse than him? Who else is worse than him?
MI2's villain is terrible.
MI2 doesn't count. We've all said that. MI2 doesn't count.
Okay, then the worst.
I mean, listen, for as much as I love Ghost Protocol, his like that villain is not good. I don't know if he's worse than Gabriel, but I feel like he's down there.
Ghost Protocol.
Yes. I love Ghost Protocol. That's probably not my favorite, but the biggest negative is the villain for me in that movie.
I mean, he can be the biggest negative in that movie. He's better than fucking Gabriel. What are we talking about?
He is kind of just. I will say I think he's the third worst.
Pretty one note.
He's the third. But if we're taking out Mission Impossible, then he's the second worst.
MI2 doesn't count. Everyone knows
second worst. But I say Gabriel the worst then.
Okay, then yeah, fine. But yes, sure. But you know why I feel like he's the worst? Because he gets 2 movies. It's like really you couldn't give the villain more. Like it's like 2 movies worth. You get more time with Gabriel than you do with any of the other villains. I mean, I think it's a unanimous thing here that what's the name? Oh man, he passed away.
He had 2 movies.
MI3.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh, by far the best villain in the franchise, without a doubt.
Nope.
No,
he's not.
Cavill?
No. What the fuck are you talking about?
Who?
The dude from
Lane?
Rogue Nation.
Lane?
Yeah, but what are we talking about? That guy's arguably a top 5 villain all time in any franchise. He's fire character.
Okay.
I think it's a close for me. I think it's close for me between those 2.
Lane's better though.
I don't know. I think I give Lane just slightly under.
Yeah,
just slightly.
Bro.
Just slightly.
It'd be what's his name? They even mentioned him in this movie too. Davian, Lane, and then it'd be Lark, and then probably the first one, MI1.
Yeah,
what am I missing?
The ad of the now cops emerging in this.
Yeah, again, that was another scene.
Okay, we're gonna distract here. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you guys want to find some positives, go ahead, find some positives.
No, I want to say just too many flashbacks for the fact that it's like, dude, you need to pull Disney, Star Wars, and just be like, hey, if you don't remember that character, not too bad. It's just too bad. You don't remember him. You don't get that reference. It's okay. It's okay. You know, because why? There was at least like 15 minutes of flashbacks in this film. At least.
Could have done it with just 5 minutes, maybe less,
bare minimum.
but it would have been perfectly
What was
fine.
the point of making Briggs the son too, and like that scene of being like, oh, are you gonna like be against me? And in the end, they kind of like dap each other up basically, and it's like, guys, we're Captain American right now, and honestly, my rating of this movie wasn't that low. I think I'm suffering what I did to Blake.
It should be low.
Right
This
now,
movie
man.
was not. Your rating should be low. It's just, it is what it is. What are the positives? Somebody go ahead and say some positives. If you want.
Tom Cruise in this movie was good.
Is the sky blue? What are we talking about?
No. I'm saying his actual fight scenes. I think normally, like, his actual action when he's fist fighting somebody can sometimes be hit or miss in Mission Impossible. In this one, I thought it was really good. Like,
Oh yeah, like when he fights the guy when he's
I was
running on the
100%
treadmill.
all him. He did that full thing. It looked awesome, I thought, in my opinion. That little just quick
That's what I'm
fight
saying. Like
finish.
from that moment on, it just goes on a fucking ride all the way until the end of the movie. It was great. I want to say from that, like if you would have started the movie there, I feel like that would have been a lot better than what the first hour ish was. I mean, it looked good. It was shot good.
Bringing that analyst back, I thought it was kind of cool. A little neat.
Oh yeah. From my one,
Guy doesn't age really,
that
man.
was
He
cool.
looks pretty good.
Yeah, he did look good.
And also, I was kind of disappointed. I was like, dang, he's out kind of acting some people here. The main cast. And I was like, God damn.
Well, I think it was return to the franchise in 30 years. I think it was. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, I'm gonna just say, should have like I don't care what you need to do. Should have brought Brandt in. Should have brought him back. Should have brought Jane back.
Oh,
Arguably, MI3's team too. Should have brought her back too. Just saying.
making the rabbit's foot relevant was cool.
Yeah.
That I liked because my favorite one is Mission. Oh, not favorite. I think the best actual movie of Mission Impossible series is Mission Impossible 3. It's not my actual favorite, but I think that's like, if you show anyone a Mission Impossible movie, I think that's the one. Kind of be like, it's a good movie. Yeah, that's the only positives though. That's really it.
Yeah.
It was okay. A lot of misses in areas. So what's your ratings?
Maybe went down a few notches, but
It definitely did. You know. It does.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
does.
it did.
You
It
know.
was originally a bit higher. No, I'm gonna give it just a 7, just a 7,
What?
a 7.
I need to go back to the
I'm gonna
movies
just
I was assigned you that you assigned lower than that. 'Cause no way. No way.
Oh wait, listen, hold on.
Nah, I don't wanna hear
Let's
it.
not do that.
Alex.
Let's not do that.
Alex.
7.
That's what I
You're
had
not
originally.
understanding
So what-
how bad this movie was.
No. Okay, I'm gonna go to my rating then because listen, I started
Because okay, listen. The only reason I say is I saw it on a big fucking screen. Okay,
we saw it on one of the
went to
biggest
this
screens in the
really
US.
nice theater. This really nice
United
theater. I was
States.
enjoying my time. I'm kind of just bringing in that bias of how I felt in the moment. So like I'm not. It's definitely that's what's lifting the movie. I'm
We saw it
hearing
on
you
a
guys.
bigger
It makes
screen
sense. It makes sense.
than you.
I know what it means. I know. In time, it'll probably go lower because some of these
It will.
movies definitely gone up. Because I actually rewatched Rogue Nation, Fallout, and Dead Reckoning before I watched this. Some of those actually shifted. I actually kind of like Dead Reckoning more than I did the first time.
Yeah, because we
So-
got more of the OG trio there. Okay, I'll go to mine. I started at a 6.2 out of respect to Tom Cruise. During this, it has dropped to just barely above the 5 threshold. I give it a 5.6 out of 10.
It's a 5 out of 10, and that is solely Tom Cruise respect for me. No one loves TC the way I love TC, obviously. This movie is not good. I will never, ever plan on revisiting this movie again. It is way too long. Lackluster. Alex, yeah, 7. You will definitely change that over time. Realize that movie's not good. It is just not a good movie. Unfortunately, it sucks. Like I said, it was very, very weird for a final movie to wrap up the way it is. I'm like, listen, don't make another one because you're just going to tarnish the legacy of what has been a phenomenal franchise. You went out on a weak note. It is what it is.
Yep.
Or if you're Tom Cruise, just really focus in on what made like Fallout, Rogue Nation, MI3 really good, and just do one more. Just end on a high note.
I'm good.
Just saying.
Nah, we're good.
It's okay,
Just-
LeBron. Ben
yeah.
Simmons is here.
Ben Simmons is here, bro. Ben Simmons is here, LeBron. We're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to do it for our Mission Impossible review. As always, let us know down in the comments below if you saw the movie, what your thoughts are on it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.